everybody, Andy Ward from Ward's Equipment Rental. Today I am going to go ahead and show you how to properly operate the 45XA drivable man lift. Watching this video from the beginning to the end is going to give you a huge advantage. A lot of common issues that we have is people let us know that they've operated man lifts in the past. If you have not operated this specific make and model man lift, I highly recommend watching this video from the beginning to the end, and you will have a lot more success properly navigating through its functions. So we're going to go ahead and show you how it works. And one of the things we do once we get it to the job site, one of the first things we do is we unlatch these boom tie downs. You use your trigger finger. You're going to open it up. It does have two of them. As you can see, I've already had them undone, but it is important that you get those done. Then we're going to go over to our computer here, and we're going to go ahead and open it up. And this key has three positions. Up and down is off. If you turn it to the left, you're functioning from this computer here. And if you turn it to the right, you're functioning from this computer here. You can do everything that you need to do from this computer, but it's not uncommon for people to go ahead and deploy their outriggers from the first computer, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So since we're going to operate off this first computer, we're going to turn the key to the left. It's important that you let it cycle through. You'll hear a click like that. It's basically just doing a test function. So in order to go ahead and get your outriggers down, by the way, this thing will auto level, you have to hit two buttons simultaneously. It used to be that you hit extend and you would do the individual outriggers. You don't have to do that anymore. They put this handy dandy auto level button in the middle, which if you hold extend and auto level simultaneously, you want to stay committed to this until you get a long beep. But the good news is this will go ahead and auto level itself even if all four pads are on a different elevation. Again, we're going to stay committed until we get the long beep. And there's our long beep. You're going to notice on the computer you have 9 illuminated lights, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 9 in the middle. That means this machine is ready to go airborne, and it means that it's leveled itself out properly. If you don't have all 9 buttons, that means that the grade on one of the outriggers is too long and has exceeded the limitations of how far the outrigger can go down. In that situation, you're going to want to reposition. We never recommend putting blocks underneath that outrigger to go ahead and trick it, because that's not safe. Let's go ahead and get inside the basket, and we'll show you how to use that functionality. All right, so we've switched the key over to the right side, which means we're basically running on this computer now, and we're ready to go ahead and go airborne. In order to go airborne, basically this is a picture of your lift itself, and it's showing its 5 main functions. This is rotate. This brings up and down your primary boom. This brings up and down your secondary boom. This extends it. And this is your jib, which is known as your basket. It goes up and down. So you're going to want to select one of them. You can see that when we've selected one, that we've selected our primary, which is what I like to start with, because we're bringing this machine up out of the cradle, so then we can rotate. In order to go, it's important to know that this machine is always on a delay. We do get phone calls sometimes where people are indicating it's not going up, but you have to give it a second to react, because everything is a delay. So you're going to squeeze this red button, and you're gonna go forward. And again, I like to go ahead and do my primary boom like we just did first, which is this lower cylinder. It gets you up out of the cradle and allows you to go ahead and utilize all the other axes, which I'll go ahead and show you now. We have our primary boom selected. We're gonna go to our secondary boom, okay, which is this cylinder up top. And you can see that that's bringing that up. We also have an extension feature on here, which will bring this up. And keep in mind, this machine will go 27 foot out, while it's, I believe, 31 foot high, which means that we can operate way out there without tipping. The only dangerous thing you can do with this machine that you got to be careful of is putting the outriggers on a soft area. If the outriggers sink, you can go down. So you want to make sure that they're safe and secure. This brings your extension out. You can see we're extending out. And the last one is your basket. which is a little shaky, and that brings your basket out. Okay, and this is the cradle. This is the rotation, which is going to get you rotating back and forth. Once you're done with your job, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves back in the cradle. The outriggers will not go up unless that front is in the cradle down there, and this basket here is hitting that platform down there. So let's get ourselves back down. We saw that hit a hard stop. We're going to go ahead and use our primary. The primary I like to lower, and I usually stop just prior to the basket up there, so I can go ahead and rotate and get a little bit more lined up. Like that. We're going to go ahead and complete our primary drop, and it hits a hard stop like that, which is perfectly okay. We're going to go ahead and drop our secondary. And the last one, which is the shaky part, is your basket. And don't be afraid to let it hit a hard stop. Wrong way. Just like that. So now that we've hit our front and our bottom, we can go back to the other side, and we can either we can take the outriggers up, or we can do it right from this basket. It's the same controls. Where we hit retract, and we're holding auto level. Very, very important fact about this machine. This machine, although it has an engine, it runs off batteries. One of the things that happens is people will drain the batteries down to nothing and then think that they can run the engine and it will run properly. If you do happen to drain the batteries down to nothing, you have to either A, plug it in, or B, start the engine to get it to go, and then you have to let it sit for a number of hours to recharge. So the engine basically serves two purposes. One, it recharges your batteries, which when it's running with this plug pushed in, it will charge the batteries. The other thing it does is it will subsidize using your batteries, and it will actually, when you're driving. So you always want to have the engine running when you're driving, but you can have the engine off when you're using your other axes. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call, 810-231-7368. First off, the controls are very similar with both the drivable and the towable. The drivable one, commonly we deliver because it fits very tight on a trailer. I always like to ask myself this question: how many times do I have to relocate it? Okay, so if you have to relocate this several times, nothing beats this drivable. It's about $125 difference, but that also includes delivery and pickup. So that's kind of an advantage. You also have to ask yourself, if you pick up the towable, can I back up a 16-foot trailer with my vehicle where I need to get it? If the answer is yes, then you might consider the towable. So if you have a minimal amount of relocations and you have the ability to back it up into your area, the towable will work fine for you. If you have to go over the river through the woods and or have to relocate several times, I definitely recommend the drivable. It's going to get into a lot more space, and it's a way more versatile machine. One really important aspect of this machine, and one of the things that people don't understand about it, is why it has an engine and why it has batteries. And this is very important to getting your job done. This machine is equipped with 8 deep cycle marine batteries, which is what basically runs all of the access points. In addition to that, it has an engine. If you drain the batteries, it then has to be plugged in for a minimum of 2 hours to function properly. So it's important in the middle of your job, you never drain the batteries down to nothing, or you're gonna have to go ahead and plug it in, or use the generator built into the engine to go ahead and get it recharged. People think that you can go ahead and just restart right away, but you really can't, because you have to let it run off the batteries. The second thing the engine does, in addition to charging the batteries, is it actually subsidizes your battery use when driving only. So one of the things that I recommend, you can get a 15-hour runtime out of these batteries on all of these axes except for the drive. The drive, you actually only get a 15-minute runtime. So the best way, in my opinion, to run this machine is to start the engine when you're driving, which uses no battery, then turn the loud engine off when you get to where you're gonna go ahead and do your job, and you can count on the batteries at that point in time to go ahead and do the rest of your functionality. So if the battery runs low, or if the battery is dead, the machine will just not function properly. It'll start giving you like error codes. This battery indicator light will start blinking. There's two different ways to get the batteries charged. And again, there's 8 deep cycle marine batteries, so they do take a long time to charge. So there's two different ways. One, there's a plug on the front of the machine, which whenever you have electricity, nothing beats plugging it into a house. If you don't have electricity and you're in the middle of a woods or not near electrical, there's 2 things that you have to do to get this going. It's really important to know that when the engine's running, by default, it is not charging the engine. You have to start the engine first, then hit the charge button. It's the way the manufacturers created it. So what we're gonna do from the basket is we're gonna go ahead and start it. Again, it is not charging the engine at this point in time. You see a little picture of this electrical plug here? That's what turns the generator on to get the battery to start going. And you're gonna hear the engine rev up. Now the generator is on from the engine and it is officially charging the batteries. Whereas when it's off, really the engine running is simply subsidizing your drive, not draining the batteries instead. When the engine is on, this machine is 4-wheel drive. When you're running off the batteries, it's only 1-wheel drive. It does that to conserve battery, but in our opinion, it's still always a good idea to run this machine when you're driving with the engine on. You'll notice as soon as you turn the engine on, you'll get better traction and all 4 wheels will be spinning, and it allows you to get in a little bit different areas of terrain rather than just spinning one single wheel.